Welcome to this Alliance on the Move show for our normal Saturday night program in Berbice. Thanks very much, all our viewers, for ensuring that you see yet another show, Alliance on the Move. Apart from myself, we do have a member from the diaspora, but he is originally out of Ithaca, Mr. Bernard Rollins. And he is, of course, an executive member in the AFC chapter in New York. He has done a lot of activities there and in Guyana in support of our Alliance for Change. And tonight he is going to do a number of comments in relation to this topic of how we can better the supply chain and how to grow it in the Berbice community. It is an important topic because we see that even being carried right up to the CARICOM Agricultural Subcommittee, which only recently our president was in Trinidad to discuss supply chains in and around the Caribbean in relation to agricultural produce and so many other things like livestock and milk and the supplies from within our territories being interlinked with the other territories is very much an important topic because, as they say, we import too much food out of America. So he's going to do that. He knows a thing or two about that, and so he's going to educate us. As you know, we have been asking our diaspora members to deal with issues that they have competencies in, and you know that Dr. Somar has been here on several occasions talking about medical issues, especially the COVID and so many other issues surrounding COVID. And we've also had Professor Shamir dealing with foreign relations and especially matters concerning our relationship with the Arab countries, because he had made so many contacts and networks there, which still holds for even as to today. So he has an expertise in that. So in relation to this afternoon's program, tonight's program, we got lots to talk about. I got plenty to talk about this GCOM. I got lots to talk about how the cost of living high. And of course, we might be coming to a stage where later on, Ricky Ramsaroop will join in. He was supposed to be on tonight too, but he's very busy. So Bernard, could you also say something about yourself that I might have left out so that the Bernicians will know, the Ithaca will know you very well?
Originally, I'm from Ithaca Village, grew up there, born and bred, went to Ithaca School, a place that, loved to death, where I, eventually went to Rosenthal Secondary, where I continued my secondary education. And in and around the village, understand, my family, my four parents who were slaves, ones who have also purchased Ithaca. Laflo Caesar was one of the slaves who out of which I came. That's a slave. That's my slave, or that's my slave connection in terms of Ithaca village. My mother is from Kanji, meaning Coburg Street, Kanji, where I also grew up. Grew up in Gaffur Yard. Gaffur Yard, everybody will know Old Man Gaffur on Public Road. The shop there's at the back of Gaffur Yard. That house was given to my grandmother, right? So I'm an integral part of what is called the West Coast, East Coast, Region 5, Region 6 relationship. I went to school in New Amsterdam. So I'm no stranger to Berbice. I'm properly equipped to speak to the people and to engage the people there. So, and when I talk about speaking to the people, I also feel the pain, not only of the sugar belt, but of the people who live in the sugar belt and the understanding of what is called a close proximity. Because when sugar is out, when it's out of crop, people will make sure that they engage in our rice field. They will plant our rice and they will also look after our farm. So out of crop, folks who work at the estate will find work in the what you call the back dam of our place, whether you're planting rice or you're planting provision. In the same thing goes for Kanji, and the same thing goes to the same life in Kanji, which is in Sugar Belt, is the same life in Itiko and Blairmont in the Sugar Belt. What I want to say tonight here is that my concern is Burbishan's understanding supply chain engineering. What is supply chain? At the level at which it's been talked about in terms of oil, the delivery of oil, right? And we talk about the lifts. Everybody would hear they lift in oil, the place of origin, where it's lived. And then it departs. And then it goes to what you call, where it's lifted is upstream. Oil is no different to people cutting wood. Where wood is being cut, it's upstream. The person who is removing that wood from the forest and take it to the estate, he's got to transport it. When oil is being lifted, it's got to be transported from the place where it's being lifted, which is upstream, to where it's being converted into good products or products that is needed for human consumption. The consumers then consume it, or it's been processed and then the consumers then, based upon the end results, what's been produced. Let us say, for example, but a lot of people don't know that from oil we get guitar strings. After oil is being processed, there are so many end products that comes out of it. Gasoline, we know it as one. Petrol, diesel is another. But as far as guitar string and fertilizer, these are all things that comes out of end products of oil itself. What I'm saying is that oil is not the only thing that we talk about upstream, midstream, and downstream. We can talk about wood. We can talk about agriculture products. We can talk about rice. Rice, as it's been lifted, where rice is being lifted. Take, for example, my father planted rice, but because of his poor knowledge of and management of rice itself, he could not, he ain't making no money. All he was just planting rice. But today, we are now transforming our industry and transforming our people, and our people must be made conscious of how important they are part of this economy. When rice is being processed in the rice field, folks must understand that here is where rice is being lifted and then transported. What I want to deal with tonight is the transportation sector that is affecting rice farmers. The transportation sector that is affecting vegetable, people who are producing vegetables. The same way you lift the oil is the same way you lift the vegetables, and then you take it to the consumer. So you have what is called upstream, vegetables being lifted upstream, rice being lifted upstream, and then it's being transported downstream, right? Midstream is where you got negotiations taking place, Ministry of Agriculture and the rest, making sure that we have what is called proper drainage, you understand? Lawmakers negotiating with our folks in the village. It's a very complex area that our folks who are living in the villages doesn't know, and all he or she is concerned about is just planting tomatoes or planting rice and sending it to wherever it's going so the consumer gets it. My point is that I want to make them aware that the time has come for them to be educated how a supply chain operates. What is a supply chain? A supply chain is a number of links, right? Which includes warehouse, which includes vehicle, which includes manufacturing. These are all places. You may not want to plant tomato, but you might want to process tomato in the form of, you want to make tomato paste or make tomato sauce, or you might want to make tomato drink. So we want to tell them that, look, the time has come for us to change our attitude towards what's called production or lifting our agriculture products from where it's being produced to where it's being delivered. Our consumers now, our planters must understand that they can play a very important part in this economy. Agriculture, climate change. Climate change is now impacting every part of the world, whether the place dry or the place wet. Is either a flood or you got what you call parching of the soil. Dr. Bulkan, this is what she's trying to talk about. The climate change that is taking place, we must be able to now understand how we are going to grow our food and how we're going to be part of this conversation as it impacts our supply chain. Because sooner or later, when the people in Georgetown don't understand why the food is getting so expensive, it's because the man who producing rice or producing tomato or producing cassava or producing soursop, you understand? He ain't getting the quality or the quantity of soursop that he used to get before because the watering coming onto the land. So we get in what they call a flooded area or a dry area. We can't get products, cows, milk, the same thing. So what I'm saying is that it is an understanding that our folks who are doing agriculture in the agriculture belt, more so in the sugar belt, right? They must understand their purpose and understand how important their transportation system must be efficient and effective to now grow their production or grow what is called their returns. Because man don't want to invest $47 million in rice or $47 million in growing tomato or cassava or planting, and next thing you know, you only get $2 million returns. So I'm saying to you is that our folks in Ithaca, in Blairmont, the ones who are doing fishing, where the fishing is impacted and the fish now becomes an expensive commodity, we must understand why our farmers who are farming fish, whether it's in the back dam or out in the sea, most people want wild caught. If it's wild caught, the man got to go from where he's living to where he's going to catch the fish. That lift now got to be transferred into what's called government processes based upon laws governing it. And you, Kemet, you know what I'm talking about. There are laws governing fishermen and their catch and how the catch is being processed, where it goes, and how it integrates into what is called our economy. How the fisherman gets his return on his investment in terms of the fish, what he's doing. Transportation is a big problem, right?
Okay. No. That is very serious, and I'm glad that you're trying to explain that supply chain must be understood by the primary producers.
Right. I don't want them to understand. I wanted to make sure that they understand. I want to come down to them so they understand the simplest form, how they are part of this supply chain and how it impacts the consumer.
That's right. And I think you have simplified it very well, and also to the extent of showing the importance and significance of why they too must have an appreciation of this connection with the other consumers especially, and why probably the prices will increase, and that could also damage their profits. Look, we do have Basdeo on the program. Basdeo, welcome.
Basdeo, how are we doing?
Yes.
I didn't understand that.
Basdeo,
yes.
Please put your mute off. Good.
Yeah.
But of course,
yes.
Basdeo has been doing a lot of work at the regional level, and I want him to give a little update as to what's happening in Berbice at the Regional Democratic Council and other places that he has been going in the past couple of weeks.
Well, Mr. Cameron, it's a pleasure to be here with you and Mr. Bernard Rollins. And it's always good to be here for the listeners to know the truth and what's happening at the RDC level and also around Berbice, Molson Creek to Mara, Superuta, and Oriala included. My listeners out there and viewers, it's a shame that every week I have to come on the program, or every time I come on the program, it's almost saying the same thing, and the same thing is continuously happening. You know, and you go to the board meeting once a month, and you discuss these things, and it's not coming back to you, the people who buy the newspapers, the journalists in that room. You know, they don't bring out the news. What happened there in our presentation on the opposition side, right, is not coming out in the open. It's always being doctored and not coming out. But we're going to have some changes. I call up another news broadcast in place with some help, and they're going to be coming in to the boardroom, our next meeting, that's next month, the first Thursday. Viewers out there, you know, I have discussed about Coconut Shell Street in Nick Settlement. It's still the same way. It's a shame. I'm even ashamed to go back in there, right? Because I can't create false promises like how this present administration is creating all these false promises. Number 64 village, too much damage on that street. And they got the audacity, to come and tell the people they're going to fix it. And week after week, month after week, month are the same thing. I went in that street last Tuesday evening. Same thing. The people probably heard about the Coke and Shell Street in Nick Settlement, Mr. Kemraj, and they're doing the same thing there, just to get a little in and out of the street with their cars, walk, and things like that. But Mr. Kemraj, in New Amsterdam, you should see these terrible, terrible streets, and that's a municipality. The chairman is saying, Mr. David Armugan, that the municipality doesn't have money to fix those streets. It's all overload from the damaged roads that they are fixing in 47, 52, 53, 58, 59, going into Line Path, is all those oversized bricks. Cars can't even go over, they can damage the bottom of the cars. People are complaining about this. School children are complaining. People are working in professional jobs are complaining about the streets. Now it's got a little bit of good weather, but the holes are still there. We need to come out, people. You need to come out. Like I was in 64 Village, and you all promised that you all going to come out, right? And, do some demonstration, and it's your money that you pay the NDC in 5274, and it's not. Even the PPP people are complaining, Mr. Kemraj. And that 64 Village got a lot of PPP people. People, you all need to demand what is yours. Don't wait for too long, all right? At the farm level, Mr. Kemraj, a lot of people are complaining. Now that the roads are getting better from farm to road to bring out their produce, the dams are bad. The tractors damage them to some extent. They're not even grading the dams to put it back in a level state. So people even can't walk. One guy all the way in Edinburgh side there saying that he got to walk like 3 miles, and the holes and the damage on the road. I will, going back to last weekend, Mr. Kemraj, Mr. Sherrod Duncan, our General Secretary for AFC, was in Berbice, right? The people just crowded him. They're glad to see him, and they want him again in Berbice, right? Because, he got his program, and he's saying it as it is, and calling the things out as it is. He came to New Amsterdam in Pepper Street and also Angais Avenue. Everybody was happy to see him. But the kind of complaints you're getting, ordinary complaints that this present administration is not addressing, it's just they're addressing things like friends and family and giving out contracts to friends, family, and favorites, right? Imagine minister's son driving car, 120 kilometers on the road with sirens. You don't know who are police now in this Berbice Region 6. Zulfikar Mustafa, the minister's 2 sons, have so much of contracts, right? I'm not ashamed to say they can't do me nothing because it's discussed in the RDC level. And I'm not ashamed, I'm not scared. What I'm discussing here is the facts. My people out there, you all need to come out and support us, right? When you see Derek Baza in an area, you come out, film the area, videotape it, and put it on social media. Like Sewell, where you came to, Mr. Kemraj, up to now they're not fixing that area. Number 11, 19, right? You got people taking up the government reserve, and there are PPP councillors sitting with us in the monthly meetings, and they're doubting that they're not coveting and restricting people from fishing, catching curry on the 19 road. All of this got to stop. Look at our cows. 4 cows died on the number 19 road. 4 cows one night died next to the police outpost on number 19 because these cows don't have any pasture to graze. I keep telling the chairman for the RDC that cows have to be looked after. People got milking cows, 4 and 5. Mr. Kemraj, it's very bad shape. People that depend on the milk, showing some rich culture to children and grandchildren. How we used to live before and how cows can really give milk, but they have to get pasture to graze. All this shrimp farming is taken up, is a land grabbing issue. All the government reserves, right? And the RDC is not doing nothing about it, right?
Well,
Mr. Kemraj,
No. Bastille, I'm glad that you're bringing out these facts because, quite frankly, some other Barbicians, because they did not go to 19 Village to see what had happened to the cows and so on, will not know. And it is useful to know what is happening on the ground. I was in America, I'll tell you, for a short vacation, as you all know, and I visited two states whilst there. And the Guyanese, one doesn't have as many Guyanese, but the other has, New York that is, hundreds of thousands of Guyanese. And, one would have expected that having given the PPP so much upon our departure from government, that they are going to make life a little bit easier and, get things going pretty good. But they're not, because even over there, you're hearing how they're complaining about what their families, I'm sorry, they're giving you the complaints of their families, how much complaining is going on because life is still difficult. And I know that because of the COVID and all of that, in America, a lot of them fellas get knocked off and so on, and they don't have monies that they would remit like they used to. 100 million US dollars were remitted in 2019, just before, say, the COVID era. Now they don't, or they can't. It's almost dropped by 40%. But they tell me so many complaints are coming why we can't get this country fixed now that you have the oil monies and so on. Well,
but Kemraj, you need to add to that. You need to add to the remittance of money. What has happened over the years is that technology has driven a lot of jobs, driven a lot of people out of employment. And you need to be talking this language to Guyanese in Guyana about the interference of technology in the marketplace when it comes to employment. Many people who are employed in America today they are not employable anymore. You got robots is cleaning the floors that janitors used to clean. Secretaries there is no secretaries in America anymore. You call them office administrators, right? These jobs are gone. And because these jobs are gone, folks were not prepared to enter into other job trade because they were not retrained.
right, yeah.
So the same thing I was talking about Guyana and the Sugar Belt. Folks should be retrained to take the impact of what's taking place here. Folks should be retrained. Guyanese or the masses should be retrained. Extracurricular activities in high school and which school, so have a church school, faith-based, community-based, and any other organization should open the doors to retrain our people. Because what is going to happen is that people are going to be complaining more over there, saying that, well, look, we would not be able to remit money like before. I'm telling you, it's coming because COVID has impacted the situation. The war has impacted the situation. We here who are now making a turnaround to deal with the economy, retraining of the Guyanese masses is very important to change their attitude. If you give people money, if you give a man $20,000, it must come, that stipend must come with some training so that the individual is not sitting down waiting on another $20,000 coming in. It is important. Please make sure that you deliver that message to them.
No. And you are doing an excellent job in delivering that message to them. Handouts is never the best mechanism. It is training. The classic is that you give a man a fish, you're going to get food for a day. Train him to fish, and you're going to forever get the food. And that is so important a message there, Bernard. And that is why my point was that the complainings continue, even over there in New York, where I was. And it is very vital, too, that we start the process of being self-sufficient in the skills and the jobs and so on that are going to be newly created. And ask this government also, who must play the biggest role in jobs training, because we have a capitalist class, an entrepreneurial class in Guyana that do not want to spend money to create employment, to create training for their employees and so on. They sometimes poach on other businessmen to take their workers. They poach on the public servants. But what we have to have, because when you poach on your other buddies or you poach on the government, you also make, a deficit is created there. Rather, However, when you now go and train people, you are going to get a pool of resources from which you can get your employees. That doesn't happen here. We have some capitalists that just feel that they must make the greatest amount of profits off the government or any other competitor, and that's how they're going to run the country. That's not how we must run this country. We have created the groundings for tremendous amount of monies now for purposes of training and education and scholarships and all of that. And we are hoping that that is going to continue because we had started it at the bottom end of our administration. I remember the security sector reform, that citizenship security program. We used to give $70 US to about 4,000 kids to go to the mechanic shop, the refrigeration unit man that wanted to be part of the program, to train them, girls to do the fingernails and the eyelashes and all of that. And we got about 4,000.
Cosmetology.
Yes,
But-
cosmetology and so
Well,
on.
what happens that
They started their businesses, Bernard. But
yeah,
of
well,
course,
I'm happy to hear that. One of the things that I had brought to the attention of, I don't remember if it's the Minister of Agriculture or someone, but I was telling them, look, when you dredge a canal in a village, and there is rice farming taking place, and there is people using fertilizers, they must pay attention and examine these for the condition of the water, the quality of the water, so that the fish that is in the water, or if the government is going to make that or introduce what is called that canal, introduce that canal into what is called an economic zone, so that people who want fresh fish and to go out fishing, that economic zone must be environmental free, so that a woman may not want to do cosmetology, but she can go to the canal, pay a small fee. She can pay a small fee and catch her fish. She's allowed to catch so much fish. The size is being regulated. Ministry of Agriculture can do that, right? Minister Mustafa can do that. The AFC can call upon them to what is called established economic zone, where these waters are not contaminated and healthy fish can be served to the people in the villages and other places. Now, why would you have Blaymont Estate planting cane, right? Adding fertilizer to the soil, contaminating the water, rice farmers planting rice, contaminating the water by adding fertilizers to the rice. That water runs off into the canal. The same canal the people catch the fish, whether it's in the Borbis River or in the canal. You eat the fish. Folks don't know why some people are dying of cancer. Folks don't know why people are getting sick. And the Georgetown Hospital is not keeping a track, whether it's the Georgetown, whether it's the New Amsterdam Hospital, Georgetown Hospital, Fort Wellington Hospital. Nobody's keeping a track about the sickness and the ailments that our people are experiencing and why. So now, when you do what you're talking about is that when you do something, it must reflect health. It must be reflecting what is called healthy performance. It must we call practices. We call whether it's local government or with state practices, you meet the standard. Rice farmers and cane farmers cannot blend together. And you got the auntie and still sick of the dog, you don't know why she's sick. Huh? My point is that the government needs to come together. This divisive thing is going to hurt us. We cannot be divisive anymore. We got to understand that you, Kemraj, who may believe that, well, you ain't got family in Blaymont, or Bazio ain't got family in Itiko, you might get a good friend there next to you don't know. They don't even tell you why. We do not keep a record why people are dying and go back to the village and do an investigation on why people die, right? But we got people planting rice and they're making money. The cane, we got so much. The point is that we must understand why people are dying. We must use canals. which are secure, where we can get fish. Let people know that don't eat that fish because there is rice being planted down at the bottom there. They're using fertilizer. That fertilizer is interfering with the water that we're using. It's contaminating us. We must be made aware of this stuff. So when you get sick, it's not COVID. You get sick because of some other means. You understand me? So my thing about it is that the people from up here who are talking to people down there, they must also ask the representatives these questions. What is the position with our health in terms of the water that we're drinking? What is the position of our health in terms of the fertilizer that Bremonti Estate using or the other estates using, and it's contaminating the water, the fish we're eating? What happened to us?
No. That is another very serious point that you're raising. It's a kind of a supply chain in a reverse order as to environmental and ecological, issues. That is very, very important. I remember years ago a study was done on certain insecticides they were using in the sugar estate areas, and it was causing impotence in some of the young cane cutters, and they had to stop using it and so on. Vital. It is necessary that when we do whatever we are doing, we must do it sustainably, meaning that it must be environmentally non-hazardous. Ecologically, it must be free from all these kinds of dangers and perils that you're talking about. And I'm glad that you're doing that. I'm glad that you're bringing it up to Berbice to understand. Barbicians need to understand all of these things, because whatever it is, there is a social impact. There is an environmental impact. The social impact also can see an increase in domestic violence, because, young people now recently get married, the high cost of living causing problems in the home. The man gone and drink, the woman come and ask him, but what you drink out all the money for? Next thing, he bore she, he stab she, and it could even be worse than that. And we have to learn to appreciate all of these kinds of reasoning beyond the actual household, why things are happening. And, it is important that the repercussions, the fallouts from a whole host of things can be all of very negative consequences. And that is why probably the complaints continue in Berbice, because people are seeing a whole lot of things that are wrong. People are seeing contracts being given to friends and family. People are seeing that so much, high cost of living. And we have now 400 and more million US dollars that were pumped into the economy, even in the first half of this year. What could that money do to help Barbicians and all Guyana? And we are not seeing it. We see that the Immokalee and leaders in we're not getting anything done at that level, or at least we are not seeing, in a very, very direct way what is being done. But I want to carry on the discussion to certain things that are
before you go out, Cameron. One of the things that I would like you to highlight when you're talking to the people in the Berbice area is that we want to make sure that skills development, we want to drive skills development in the entire Berbice area, whether it's Region 5, Region 6. Why I'm saying skills development is that, people send home their hard-earned cash, whether the man got a chainsaw or a weed whacker or slasher, or we get a car, or we want to make sure that the masses in Berbice understand the importance of developing what is called a skills, because skills transfer, technology transfer, cultural transfer, it is moving at such a fast pace that if people don't understand, they're going to be left out. Let me say this right now. I was reading the papers where they're going to give people an opportunity from Europe to come to Guyana. I hope, lo and behold, it's not people who are coming from Ukraine. I hope it's not people who are coming from Afghanistan and Pakistan, where America was. Because And you need to ask this question, that these people coming armed, well educated, what is going to happen to our people who are still to be educated? Or there is no reformation in the education system to welcome those people who are coming, who are far ahead of us? Who is going to defend our folks who just know next to nothing? This is not a joke. I am saying it. We need to argue and argue hard for skills development in our community to make sure that a cane cutter who cutting cane 3 hours a day, he can relax. And instead of giving him $5,000, you give him $5,000 and a laptop and say, you got to come to this training at Port Moran, or you got to come to this training at Rose Clark Secondary, or you got to come to this training at Sticker School. Then you give him $5,000, and the training adds up to what is called a perfect man who is moving from cane cutter to becoming a technologist. That's my argument. Because let me tell you something. You see, when them people start to come into Guyana there, and population explosion, and there are going to be problems, just like how you see the immigrant who come from Guyana living in America is being blamed. He and she, we are being blamed when America is under pressure. Trust me. When America is under pressure, say, oh, you come, you take my job, you take this, you get house. We are under pressure. It's the same thing that's happening in Guyana. Mark my word, you're going to repeat it. They say, well, look, all them European come, this body come, and they get this, they get that. Now what happened to we? Arm yourself with this conversation and tell the people who are in power right now, tell the Ali administration, take control and represent our people properly. We want them to be educated to reach the next level so they can take care of the children. There's going to come a time when remittance would not be able, you can't send remittance anymore.
No, those are very valid points, and I'm glad, Bernard, that you're raising them and also giving an international perspective, because it is indeed a problem worldwide. The policy on immigration, the policy on migrant workers that will come in, they will be needed in Guyana for good reasons. I know of some of them who will come for very valid reasons, but we have to ensure that when they do come, they do not violate, let's say, the local content legislation, and so that our people are going to be left out. As a matter of fact, we supported the local content legislation in Guyana, and I think our president in Trinidad recently also indicated the justification for that support that cut across all political parties. As a matter of fact, we added our amendments to it, although we had some concerns, as I had mentioned and David Patterson had mentioned, about whether the treaty is going to be violated in any way. I thought that they needed some more studies in that. But your point is very, very welcome in relation to when people start coming in and what jobs are they going to take away. A lot of jobs were taken away, as we know, when the Chinese, I think, were making the Marriott Hotel. And a lot of people got very disenchanted about that, very frustrated. And it could bring on a sense of, anti-nationalist sentiments. And that is not what we need in this country anymore. We've got to be united in and around certain issues and move the country forward. And so, very valid points. If I may come back to Basdeo. Basdeo, in relation to what's happening at the RDC level in connection with contracts, because you're making a big development here that certain people only getting the contracts. We will need at the national level to know what are the worth of the contract. You see, we want transparency in everything here. I happen to know Zulfi. I happen to know his sons, because remember, I was in the PPP. And whatever it is, we would like to know that if other people are being prevented and discriminated against, that these issues be brought to the public. And And so it is important then that if you're making mention of them, that we get the contracts, the contract sums. It's the same thing that I ask in Parliament in connection with the distribution of the farmer relief. You remember that flood? And then they had a
flood
relief program. A lot of Guyanese have not gotten the flood relief, although they signed on and were deserving cases. And we know that there is massive discrimination in relation to that. I know of some people that got about $8-9 million for the rice that they lost. And other people lost the same amount of rice, but they are not known to be supporters of the PPP. And so they got literally nothing. And a whole heap of people are like that. So this discrimination thing is also going to create massive disenchantment. And that is why I proposed in Parliament, and I stated it outside of Parliament too, that the Minister of Agriculture post on the website.
Yes.
Because look, that is what technology is there for. Kemraj Ramjatan, he lost 40-acre rice land at number 47 village. He was given $800,000. Put the truth there so that we're going to know this money that they're distributing is not Jagdeo money or Zulfikar money. This is our country's money.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not for some to feast on and the others it's to be wasted on. We got to make sure that everybody...
I think one of the things with that, because I have cattle in Guyana. I don't know how much guys who look after the cattle there in the savannah, down there, Ithaca Savannah. You know, the guys, they lost a lot. They lost heavily, and people, you know, the water, a lot of stuff happened. The thing about it is the order. You're talking about order. The coming together of I don't know if it's the NDC, the RDC, the government. I mean, I am always dissatisfied with Georgetown service. I believe that we need to revamp, we need to reorganize the services rendered to the people in Region 5 and Region 6. A poor man who's afraid to walk upstairs to the NDC, or, you know, just because of his knowledge, you know, he a farmer and nobody look down on him, you know, he poor. I think there need to be some meeting of the minds to meet these people, because I know people who lost cows, cow dead, and they didn't know who to go to. All the areas that money shared out to some farmers, right? And Minister Mustafa need to play that part, because he come from the ground, he come from the bottom, right? And you need to understand that part where you got people who must mining 2 cow and working in the estate. Now the estate out of crap, he ain't got nothing, cow dead. How we make out?
No, but Bernard, this is important because they got people who know the system, and they went and they filed their claims, and they didn't get any money. I don't know if in Ithaca you didn't have people who are going to file claims. This thing is supposed to have been done all across the country. If people were unafraid or too unsophisticated to go places, they would have been helped by ordinary people inside that same Ithaca village as to how to fill the forms. But even if they did not, government, yes, should provide the service. But I am talking about people who file their claims and stated that this is the amount of money that they're supposed to be entitled to. But because they're not politics oriented to the PPP or their politics, they didn't get anything. And that's the discrimination.
Yeah, you came, Mr. Kemraj, you came to Berbice Region 6. Yeah. And the amount of complaints you got about this flood relief.
Exactly.
Was too much.
The people said that they made the claims.
Yeah,
Can they not revisit it? Can they not revisit it?
They're not revisiting it because that's the discriminatory
policy. No. They can't do that. No.
Well, that is the point we are making. And that is the point.
And why I'm saying that? They did not establish a window of time, whether 6 months, and there was, for example, somebody going and investigate or looking at what happened. You can't just shut a man down because
That's
you
right.
know, you got to revisit. You got so that it doesn't happen again. So you got lessons learned. What happened now is that you now can say, well, look, the PPP can look back and say, well, look, we made this mistake and we can correct it. The coalition can look back and say, PPP made this mistake and we need to correct it. The point is that if we do not have this kind of discussion, we ain't gonna go nowhere, you know. We're gonna keep doing the same thing.
No.
But-
I agree with you. I agree with you. I had big talks with the Minister of Agriculture. And in all honesty, he did say, send me the names. And I did send a number of people's names who
Right.
I understand got their monies, but they complained that they got only little bit of money because the people who now go to check back and verify with them couldn't see how much cattle there and all of that. And they said, all right,
you
we're
can
going to
keep
average
that
it.
cattle. You keep that cattle. You keep that cattle around you.
Look.
You can't.
Bernard, there's a input right now, right, that I'm asking. Register the names of the people who are going to be qualified for the black belly sheep that is coming in from Barbados.
That's another
The,
thing.
the black giant hens. Up now, I don't have an answer. The works committee, which is held and chaired by the vice chairman, Zamal Hussein, 2 consecutive months, he's not calling any meeting. Because why? Because allegedly they are hiding all this transparency of the expenses and the money going out. You know, they're hiding it.
Bernard, you have to understand that in this country here, part of the policy is discrimination. And that is why I think the Americans call up.
We can can't work. That can't
Exactly.
carry on. That will not be able to take us anywhere, because if we if you continue discriminating, then somebody gonna fill the void. Sooner or later, our president come from Venezuela or Ukraine.
You're damn
You
right.
understand what I'm saying? Because if you don't see down the road what's gonna happen, then something bad is gonna happen. Then you can't vex when it happens. You understand?
I want to shift the discussion now, because it seems like they like to see things happen bad. We have asked that if you can't, we are asking that the next voters list, because we're going to get local government elections coming up. They said that they're going to have local government elections. Remember, under our administration, we had 2 local government elections. Immediately after we went in, we had one, and then in 2018, I think we had the other one. Now, they have passed 2 years, and we haven't gotten any. But they now feel the pressure. So we got to get the local vote. This is now what we want.
Cameron, you got to be something
It's important to understand this. The voters list got too many names there, about 684,000 names. We don't believe that it is the best list to have. So we have been asking also for what is called biometrics. Y'all got them inside America. You walk up to the thing, sir, and the thing watch your eyes and your face, and you know. I saw that at the airport, and they know who you are. We want the biometrics. We got the aisle money. We can have biometrics now at all the stations. It is a simple piece of equipment. And if you got 300, 400 voters at that polling station, that thing will have the biometric data inside its computer. You know what a PDP
I can give you a better example than that. I can give you a better example than that. I don't know why it's so difficult for everybody in Guyana to have a basic ID. When it's a basic ID, for example, in the state of New Jersey where I live, you have to get either a state ID or a driver's license.
Yes.
And the state ID, meaning that you have what is called a state ID. It's like your driver's license, but it's not your driver's license. You got either a driver's license or a state ID. When you turn up, as soon as you turn up at the voter station and I say my name is Bernard Rollins, that thing shows up automatically that I'm Bernard Rollins. People see me there. So they ain't got to ask no question. They have a laptop. They have a laptop there, and this to vote. That thing identifies me. Before I even say, oh, Bernard, I live in this district, it comes up, boom, but my face right there. And the person who's responsible for the election attendant, Bernard Rollins, and I vote. My thing about it is that what is so difficult for us We got 10 administrative regions, right? I don't know how many districts we have across the 10 administrative regions. What is so bad for a region for us to experiment on what is called technological upgrade in terms of voting systems?
That's right. And let the region be region 4 that always get this problem. And it indeed is the largest region, but let us implement it probably in the East Coast area where we had
Just
so much
for experimental purposes.
Exactly. My thing is that even more than experimental purposes, because the technology is there and you can have it in all the 2,000 ballot stations across the country, so nobody could impersonate. But do you know what Jagdeo and them are talking today? That they are not going to go the biometric way.
So then he's guilty. Then he's automatically guilty about something.
Absolutely. That is why, you know, and especially with a voters list that is stuffed up with so many names of voting age, and probably people who are living in America, as we found out in the last recount, 4,000 people gone.
I come home and I vote legally.
Yes, I know. But the recount proved that. So to avoid this from happening, and we know elections are going to be very, very close. Last time it was 4,000 people who are supposed to be overseas who voted in Guyana. Get the biometrics. And then you're going to have everybody now feeling satisfied that no impersonation happened. But
let me ask you something, Cameron.
Just a minute. Do you know who is opposing that? Jagdeo.
The party in power.
Party in power that was left with $600 million US.
Let me ask you a question, Cameron. Why is it that it's so difficult? If I'm as soon as I become a citizen, I could have gone and registered and get my voter, registered to vote. Why is it there is no ongoing voter registration taking place, ongoing every day? You have an office where people can go in, you turn 18, you register to vote. Why there is no ongoing voter registration taking place in Guyana? Why they got to wait until X time then? Why is it? A man is a Guyanese citizen, he's entitled to vote. Whether you live in here or you live in there, you come to Guyana, you want to vote, you vote. Why is it that you don't have an ongoing voter registration taking place so the man can be happy whenever he comes home, he can vote, or when he's there, he can vote? Why are they making it so difficult? What's the problem?
Well, there might be some reasons of cost, I understand.
Man, come on. You got a voter, you got what is called a GGM. You got an establishment. There's an establishment. Who runs it?
It is GCOM operated and also the registration process. And that is why they're now starting out with claims and objections to rectify that, and rather than the ongoing process that we had done some years ago. To a certain extent, there might be also ongoing processes that are in some regions. I'd have to check on that, because there is in Georgetown here that where you can go and apply for your what is called the ID card, and that is a form of registration.
Mr. Kevraj, don't forget about the selection with Clement Roy joining the GCOM commission now.
Yeah, well, they want their political loyalists. I mean,
yes.
But that got some other little reasoning behind it. Clement was giving Jagdeo a lot of problem recently. I noticed from what he was writing some letters criticizing what is happening inside of the PPP, and probably to calm him down now, hold on to the job.
they give him a pacifier to sit in the car.
Right. So you're not going to hear Clement saying anything now that he has gotten probably that job there at GCOM, which pays well, if I may say.
I don't know. You've been a part of the PPP. I don't know. What we're hearing is the rumbling and tumbling, and I don't know. It has been made public now that the PPP is divided. You got Ali Party and you got BJ. You got Ali versus BJ. Is there a fight? Is there a battle in the ring? Somebody need to talk about it, because our money is to be spent properly. The money can't be spent by BJ. The money must be spent by Ali. Ali is the president. Is it Ali versus BJ or BJ versus Ali? Who is it?
Were you
It is-
a
it
legendary
is both of
president of Guyana?
It is the both of them. Rollins, if you didn't know, there is problems of big fixtures or
Sis used to be my friend, you know.
No, well, whatever.
Sis used
Sis
to
could
be-
be your friend. No, I Sis. They used to call Sis my little brother. You remember when he was in the AFC,
I know.
Rambutan little brother?
No, well, I know that. I know that because he had to come to me. Sis came to me and he said, "Man, Bernard, man, can you please go and talk?" I said, "Don't come and don't put me between your camera. I'm not getting involved." He used to come to me and he begged me, said, "Why man, go and talk to camera?" I said,
All right,
"I'm not
here, let
getting
me not talk
involved."
with private matters here. The trouble is that we got some people who do not want to utilize the technologies that are available
Well,
to
that's no
ensure
problem.
that we have a most transparent
Personality,
system.
personality is killing the thing.
That's right.
Why people are taking personality into government offices and it's derailing our success as a people. We are all Guyanese. We are all Guyanese. You understand? I don't concern whether you and he don't get along or no. This thing you cannot. You got to leave your problems at the door. Come in to serve the people. And when you come in to serve the people, look at. I don't concern with this PVP PNC. I don't
That's
concern who
correct.
you are. The point is that
Yeah.
we must operate as a united group of people, because if we don't, we are going to lose it.
Totally. And we're going to lose it to those foreigners who are dominating the commanding heights of the economy. Because they
Thank
like
you
when
very
we
much.
fighting. They like when
Thank
we
you very
fighting.
much.
And when we know that there are things that we could all commonly agree on, like say biometrics and the systems that will prove that you can't have impersonation or will prove impersonation, that biometric system, why you don't want it?
Well,
So then the competition is then going to be suspect all the time. So this party can suspect that you got some people who impersonating just to get 1,000 more votes and so on. So I am saying that, look, we have to tell the president that they don't get Jack. They'll go in and talk about non-use of biometrics and all of that. He should come out and make a statement in it. And it is very, very important because all the international observer teams indicate that we must use the technology to erase and come off of this thing so that we can have results that are going to be credible and people will find acceptable.
so you saying
And
in other words that the man know when to use technology. All like when you're lying, he bring in the detector test. But now you got voter clarification, voter certification. You don't want to use though. So you got
exactly. And Barbicians must understand that, because although Barbies vote very much for PPP, all the Barbicians that I talk to, they probably would never ever object to that system that will make it purer. That is the results. And to that extent, then we find it an atrocity that the Jagdeos of the PPP are saying, no, we don't want biometrics.
well, you got to tell them. You got to tell them in order to change the attitude. You understand? The days are over when you go, well, I'm going to go there, I'm going to get a loan. And because this businessman support Jagdeo give him money, then the money come down to me. That don't work no more. You understand?
That's right.
Because the businessmen are under pressure, we're giving them the money. What giving them the loan for build the house and giving them the loan for buy a car, and they got to pay back to pay to the businessman and pay back to the PPP indirectly. They've got to be careful when they now take money from these businessmen, because you don't know what these businessmen doing. You know, they can run into problems. You got to educate them how they are
We are
being.
doing that. We are doing that via this program, and we are almost coming to an end. I just got a little note here. It is important too that lies must not be the method to encourage. Look, the other day, people are saying that they did not want to renegotiate the contract with Exxon. We told them that, as I told you inside of that seminar in New York there, that we never said that this agreement is perfect. You can never have a perfect agreement. But the PPP put it inside of their manifesto that they will renegotiate the contract. The president, Irfan Ali, just 1 minute. The president, Irfan Ali, in a critic interview, that fella called the critic, said that we will definitely renegotiate and review the oil contract with Exxon. And do you know, they got this fella who is a piece of work, Charles Ramson Jr., going around telling people that they never said that they're going to renegotiate the contract? Why are they lying like that?
But, I think something has been...
They had so much criticism of it, and they said they're going to renegotiate. Today, they cannot renegotiate. And so they are now going and say that we never said so.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? It's a question that I'm being asked over here all the time. What is the responsibility with the two administrations, past and present, as it applies to the contract that involves the security of Guyana? Everybody wants to know, is this contract tied up into the security of Guyana? Because I was made to understand there is aircraft carriers on the Atlantic Ocean, which is responsible for the security of Guyana as it applies to Guyana, the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute. So the contract has a lot to do with payments to America in terms of securing Guyana's place in the sun. Do you know anything about it? I'm just throwing out.
No, that is absolutely trash. The Americans are not being paid anything for security. If that was so and that was part of the agreement, Bernard, the PPP would have brought that out already. That is not true.
Okay.
When we signed it.
We're having a discussion, and I'm saying that I'm bringing it out. You understand?
No, well, I am bringing it out to state that is a falsity.
Right.
That is not true.
Well, yeah. I'm happy that you're throwing it out there and let people know that, well, look, it's not true.
Yes. Look, I am getting a call that the 1 hour is up. Is there anything, Basdeo, you would like to say just to close up?
Let me be very quick. Our viewers out there, all right, listen, I know, and this is the facts, that if you go to certain communities, Mr. Kemraj, people are scared to come out and to support us, the AFC, because of, the handouts they're getting, and they say that if they support us, then they're not going to get the handouts. I tell them, listen, the handout is yours. It's our money. Take the handouts.
Yes,
take the food baskets. But support us. When you go into that booth, you know where you're suffering from. This PPP thing of victimizing you guys is not going to happen continuously. No, we got to take them out and have a form of new government that we could have changes. My people out there, we're going to come back on the air again. And thank you for watching. And see you all again next time. Support the Alliance for Change.
Right.
Bernard, your final comments, please.
Yes. What I want to say is that I would like to see, one of the things that I would like to see, and I would like to make sure it happens, is a skills development program for the people of Region 5 and Region 6, and more so the whole of Guyana. Don't give my people money and don't give them training. I am asking a simple question. Please give my people some money and give them extra training so you got women can become cosmetologists in the sugar belt. Men can become plumbers. Men can become carpenters. Men can become mechanics, so that the supply chain engineering program, or the supply chain that is responsible for driving the economy and making men and women successful in that part of the world, or in that part of Guyana, the people who are living in these villages, they must become conscious of what the changes are taking place. They must understand that technology is going at a faster rate. They must understand the importance of getting involved and obtaining skills training, not only by taking money. Sitting money is not a good thing.
Thanks very much. That's a lovely way to end tonight's program. Skills training for Bobitians and the entire country. This is Comrade Ramjatan again. Thanks very much, Basdeo and Bernard Rollins, for being in our show today, Alliance on the Move. A very good night to all our viewers, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.